Welcome, everybody, to the newest episode of the Zero Budget Podcast Live. You guys can unmute now.
Amazing. Wow.
How's the intro today? I tried to make sure everything was on lock. All the music, the going live, it was synchronized, it was timed out. Thank you.
Good job, Jeptesh.
Yeah, man.
Welcome everyone to the Zero Budget Podcast. I'm your host, Jeptesh Singh. With me as always is my co-host, Matt Hanks. Not with me, but with me again today. New announcement time. KJ Dawson is now a regular member of the Zero Budget Podcast family. He won't be on here every week, but he will be a featured guest, a recurring character, if you will. And joining us today on the podcast, the wonderful, the talented, the gifted musician, web artist, the skilled, beautiful man, Stephen Blake. Round of applause for Stephen.
Thank you.
Stephen, how are you today? Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
I'm chilling. Anytime, man. I'm chilling right now. A little tired, but you know.
Yeah. So, fellas, we all know how we start things off. How are your weeks? We can start with Stephen. Kind of go around my screen here.
Okay, can I go last?
You can go last. We'll start with KJ.
Alright, cool.
Fuck, man, this week has been kind of nuts. Trying to finish my album. Should be out in July, so go check that out when that's ready. Really just kind of in the final stages of that, trying to get that shit done. Yeah, that's it.
Alright, dope. Matt, how's your week been, bro?
So have you ever watched America's Next Top Model?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest shit ever. But it's also the most entertaining shit I've ever watched. So me and my girlfriend are now watching another season of that.
You're binge watching America's Next Top Model?
No, because, we've watched one season beforehand, so we thought we'd watch another one.
You said no, like that's exactly what you're doing.
It's been uneventful for the most part, really. Besides, doing the editing for good old Joe City.
Fuck Joe City.
Go check out Joe City.
Fuck Joe City.
You can't say that.
Joey, if you're listening, run me my fucking money.
Same here, but
Alright, next up, Steven, how's your week been?
What day is today? Friday?
Yeah, it's Saturday.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Saturday.
Pretty good. Oh, it's Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. Well, my week's been pretty good. Me and my boys started investing in stocks this week.
Oh shit.
I've had a pretty good week.
What kind of stocks are you investing in?
Right now, I'm keeping it small before I start, moving up.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like little penny stocks for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I've been practicing. Nothing much really, quarantine and stuff.
Yeah, I feel you. Like I said in the intro, Steven is a musician and a web artist. He has a website, bogo.pw, which is kind of a... how would you describe that, Steven?
It's like a experimental website, very my own like art style-ish.
So how did you first kind of start to get into creating music and getting into sort of the art scene as a whole?
Okay, well, I started with music, well, way back when. I taught myself piano when I was like 5 or something like that, because we had like a little keyboard, and then I was like, yo, this is cool. So I taught myself like the Titanic theme, that foolishness. And then after that, I kind of just continued. 6th grade, I joined band. I started on tuba, and then I ended up learning trombone and all that stuff. And then here I am now,
Yeah.
So it's kind of been almost a lifelong thing.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a couple of questions to get to right off the bat.
All right.
So you went to Stoneman Douglas, correct?
Yes. I
Yeah,
did.
and you said that you were actually there when it all went down.
Yes, I was.
So could you talk to us a little bit about your experience with that?
Well, the whole day was kind of like a blur. So it started with a fire drill earlier that day. So in around like second period, we had a fire drill, and that was routine or whatever, you know. So we went through that, you know, and then we finished it, you know, no problem at all. But then later, during our fourth period, we're on block schedule, by the way. So we have like our first 4 classes on one day, and then our last 4 classes on the other day. And then we like alternate. So yeah, during fourth period, which is the last class of the day, the fire drill went off again. So then we're like, that's a little weird. They've never done it twice in the same day. But a lot of us, we weren't tripping though, because culinary is kind of doo doo. But yeah, so we're just thinking maybe they burned some popcorn or something again, because it's happened before. But you know, we follow the drill. We start going outside, but immediately, like, we get sent back inside, and we're like, that's a little weird. So then we're just standing around, and yeah, we're just like confused a little, because you know, some people heard like, oh, it's a code black, and the others like, what is that? Like someone on campus with a weapon or whatever. And you know, we're just a little confused, but no one was really thinking too much of it. And then all of a sudden, an administrator came. I was in band class at the time, actually. But an administrator came in, and she told us to go hide behind the lockers or whatever, you know, turn off all the lights or whatever. So we're like, maybe this is just like a drill or something, or maybe someone, you know, like a car chase or whatever, something happened. But I don't know. So we're chilling there, and keep in mind, school ends at 2:40, right? It was around like 2:15 when we're in here. So then we're thinking, you know, it's just a drill, you know, it's going to be over by like 2:20 at the latest, because they don't do anything during the last, like, you know, the last 30 minutes of school is already pretty weird, but, you know, maybe this is just an exception. So, yeah, so we're waiting there, and then 2:20 comes, we're like, yo, what's going on? So I remember I was the first person to get a text from someone outside of the school, actually. It was my youth leader at the time. He texted me. He's like, "Hey, are you okay? I heard that there's a shooting at your school." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, what's going on?" So, yeah, he said that he saw us on the news and that there's a shooting like right now. So I was like, "Guys, I think you see this." So I showed like my friends the text or whatever, and then everyone was like, "Okay, maybe this is not a drill no more." And then, you know, more people started getting text messages or whatever about the same thing, and then. Yeah, that's when we realized that it was not drill anymore, because it was like 2:40, and we're still on lockdown, you know. So, I think we were in there for probably like an hour before SWAT came in to check, because what happened was the shooter, he was wearing like school uniform, whatever, not uniform, but like I think it was like ROTC, like the polo or something like that. He was wearing like school apparel or whatever, but yeah, so they came to check the band room to see if, you know, he was hiding with us, because he was hiding with like one of the classrooms or like one group of kids or whatever. So he SWAT came in, they checked all of us, and then we were clear. So, you know, we sat down, we were able to text our parents saying like, oh, you know, I'm fine or whatever, we're still in school but we're fine. And then like 5 minutes later we were escorted, not escorted, but we were told to like run out to the front, you know, drop our bags, where the guard dogs. And honestly, when I tell you that the whole thing didn't feel real, like there is a way I can understand that, or I can explain that, but I don't think it's podcast appropriate. But yeah, fuck, I'm gonna say it. All right, so the point where I knew that I wasn't thinking this was real, right? So I'm outside in the front. There's helicopters flying above me, ambulances, you know, ambuli, whatever you say, fire trucks, policemen, all that stuff, lined all the way down the street, whatever. That the road's blocked off, right? And there are kids running outside, you know, dropping their bags off. And then I saw this one girl that I was talking to at the time, and while all this is going on around me, my thought was, damn, she looked kind of thick in the pants. And that's how I knew that, like, you know, it didn't feel real, right? Because I still remember that thought to this day. But anyways, yeah. So I remember after we got like our bags sniffed by the dogs or whatever, we got to get them and then like call our parents to like have them pick us up somewhere around the area. So I remember I walked for a little and there were like cameras, like CNN, all this stuff, recording and stuff like that, trying to get like some live footage. And even then, it didn't feel real. So I went home with a friend actually. She had taken me to her mom or her dad had picked us up. It was me and a group of people, just to like get away from the area, so that way we can like get our parents to pick us up from there. So I remember when we got to the house, I saw myself on TV, and I was like, wait a minute, it still doesn't feel real though. Like that's kind of crazy. So yeah, my mom ended up picking me up or whatever, and I went back home, and it didn't feel real like for the whole night, and I don't think it really hit me until like a week, 2 weeks later when I had to go to my friend's funeral, and that's when I was like, damn, this is like for real, But yeah, that's just a little bit of what happened.
Yeah. So, as someone like who was there, who went to the school, who probably like you knew some of the people,
Yeah.
what was it like, kind of viewing the aftermath of the whole thing, like the whole March for Our Lives movement, seeing people that like you knew, you went to school with, being like figureheads for this big movement. Like, what was it like, kind of witnessing all that?
I was just proud of my school. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, man, look at us. Cause I could see that these kids, or these people, young adults, they wanted to see a change. They wanted change to happen, and they were actively pursuing it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, man, that's just what's up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So we just wanted to touch on that a little bit in the beginning, just to kind of sort of get
it out the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we can sort of do a gigantic 180 and start talking about just generally music, art as a whole. So yeah, like we talked about earlier, you do music, but you also do web art. You made that experimental website. So what you talked about, what got you into music, so then what made you also be interested in web design?
Well, you see, with the website, I'm actually assisted by my dog, Owen. He might be in the chat right now. But yeah,
Shout out
he does
to
like
Owen.
Thank you. He does like he does the heavy stuff. I do like the pictures, So yeah, yeah. So the blog, he had the original idea to like have this experiment, see if it would work out. So then that's what the blog is actually. It was just like an experiment to see if the website would even work, So it worked, and then it just developed. Like what you see now, if you go into bogo.pw, is I don't even know what version that would be. There's been a lot of updates. Most recent one I think being like yesterday or 2 days ago or something like that. But yeah, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff going on with the website. It's always going to be under construction, I believe. Can never have the final product because it's always going to be developing and all that stuff. But yeah.
And then, so like where like in your career or in your whatever timeline did you kind of decide, all right, I'm gonna make a website now, and it's gonna be fucking weird?
The website thing started like 3 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
What's today's date, man? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, the website's fresh off the box.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Go check out the website. Fucking hot off the presses.
Yeah, bogo.pw.
Bogo.pw.
Yeah, check it. Put a stamp on it. Certified.
We're gonna. Yeah. So we have a couple of questions about stuff on the website. Just sort of
what's up?
To elaborate on stuff there. So
let me pull the website up real quick.
Yeah. One of the quotes. Let me pull it up too. Two can play at that game. I don't know what that meant.
This little side thing, by the way. The little face in the front. If you click it, it plays music.
It does. I can confirm.
Yes, it does.
So one of the quotes on your website, I think it's at the bottom of the blog test.
Yes.
By Salvador
Have no
Dali.
fear.
Yeah, have no fear of perfection, you'll never reach it. So,
Yeah.
do you think like perfectionism in your art is something that you struggle with a lot? And like, have you ever had to step away from a particular piece or medium just because it was giving you too much shit?
Well, I feel like that quote can apply to just about anything, you know? Like, I'm gonna make this a little more general, but like with that quote, and this applies to like, you know, music, you know, the website, you know, your schoolwork or whatever. But you know, you can never be perfect with any of that, you know? You know, perfection is not gonna be achievable, you know? You know? So what happens is it's all about what you put into it. So like the quote should be, you know, practice makes permanent, you know? I'm pretty sure you've heard that before.
Yeah.
So the stuff that you put in, it's kind of like, you know, what you develop, you know? What you develop, you know? So yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, give me a second. Having some sound issues. Give me a second.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
All right, cool.
So as I was saying, with the whole perfection and everything, yeah. So that applies to like, you know, your music and the website and just about anything. So what happens is like, I'll use music for an example, right? You can't be perfect with anything that you play, no matter how much you practice. Like even the best people in the world, they're not perfect. You might think they might be close to it, but you know they're not perfect. Everyone has their flaws, you know. But it's all about how you practice, because that ends up becoming like your habit, you know.
Yeah.
So with that, what happens is you might have this idea in your head, and the only way you can truly develop it is if you work on it until you're actually satisfied with, you know, your idea, you know. And when I say satisfied, I say that lightly, because the thing is, I can be satisfied for a little bit with like, you know, like if I'm working on some improvisation, I can be satisfied with a line that I'm working on or whatever, and then eventually I want to, you know, improve on that, you know. I want to improve on that. So I would learn it in one key, and then I'll learn it in a bunch of different keys, you know. Or I'll learn different tempos, or like, you know, change it up a little, you know. There's always a bunch of changes that you can make to anything that you learn, you know. So you can't just have like one thing be perfect, you know, because also that one little line that you learned can be used in a lot of different places, you know. And there's no perfect place to put a certain line, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's less about like struggling with. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
It was like less about like struggling with perfectionism and more of like just accepting that you can't reach perfection.
Yeah, you can't reach perfection, but it's all about how you, I guess, assert yourself with whatever it is that you're doing, you know. So yeah. And also, I just feel like, you know, the quote at the bottom, you know, the gray and the black text, it just kind of looks cool at the bottom.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fellas, got anything to add?
I think it's a good. Actually, I think it's a really good way to view things in life, especially. I mean, because I definitely have. I think a lot of people do, especially artists and non-artists, have an issue with kind of striving to be perfect. I mean, I know I kind of get that feeling every time I write a paper for school. You know, you want it to be perfect, but you know you can't. But I think when you can learn to accept that, then you can kind of almost not transcend, but almost do better.
Transcend.
At least that's what I received.
Yeah.
You can enter the third realm.
Exactly.
Your fourth eye opens.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something that you kind of had to develop, like that acceptance of imperfection, or is that just like a mentality that you kind of had throughout?
That's a mentality that I've had with like a lot of things, because you know I used to be in marching band back in the day, or whatever. And one of the thing is, you know, when we're learning drill or whatever, is that you know you can't be, you know, no drill, no show is gonna be perfect. You know, everyone's gonna make mistakes. But the way that you develop, you know, having, you know, a good show is if you practice it like the correct way, So that ends up becoming like I said, a habit, and becomes like, permanent. It's muscle memory, So using that kind of idea is how I would apply that to, just about everything in life, Like, for example, if I'm studying or whatever, if I study by just looking at the like, let's say it's math homework, right? If I study by just looking at the equation or example, and I don't actually apply it, then that's not going to be good for when it starts getting more advanced,
Yeah.
So, if I practice or, I study in the right way, where I actually, take notes and I try examples, and see what works and what doesn't, then when stuff starts getting more complicated, then it's gonna be pretty good, So yeah.
Yeah, I know for me, like, I think I can understand that, like, obviously perfection is like a path and not a destination.
Yeah.
But, I think the hardest thing for me is kind of knowing when to step away.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll have like tracks and I'll be like, yeah, like this is it, and I listen to it and I'll hear something, I'm like, that's not really quite it, and I try to fix it and edit it, and like sometimes it gets to a point where like every little minute thing is just like fucking with me, and I'm like, this needs to be perfect, and I like obviously you can't achieve that, but it's definitely, I think all artists like struggle with having to know when to walk away, know when to be like, this is what I have, this is the best I put into it. So I guess I have a question. Who do you create for? Do you create for others? Do you create just to say whatever the fuck is on your mind, or what's?
It depends on how I'm feeling at the time. Because, like, for example, my cousin, he hit me up the other day, just asking about, like, what's going on in my life, because he just came back from the military, right? Yeah. So I told him about how, I'm doing music or whatever, and how I started producing or whatever, but right now I'm just working on stuff like, trying to learn what to do, what not to do, and different ways of doing it or whatever. So then he sent me this one clip or this one video on YouTube or whatever of these people doing something. He's like, bet you can't do that, because my cousin's just like that or whatever. But he's like, yeah, bet you can't do that. So then I was like, I bet. Took like an hour, and then I did the thing, sent it to him. He's like, yo, that's what's up, So like in that case, that was just like, because he was like, bet, But a lot of times I do stuff just because I might have an idea, and I want to see where I can go with that, So like when, for example, my main instrument is trombone. If I have an idea that I feel like it could, be kind of fire, or even on piano, if I had an idea where I think it'd be kind of fire, then I'll just get up and start practicing, Like I remember the other day, I was practicing at like 12 in the morning, because I just had like this urge to practice. I forget what song it was, but I just had the urge to practice, so I was like, I bet I'm gonna do that, because I got it on my mind now, and I don't want to forget it, Because that's the thing about like music, is that there's so much to it that it's not like, there's not a lot of concrete stuff, Yeah. When it comes to ideas, there's just like, they're ideas, So they can go away just like that, or they can be changed just like that,
So would you say that like your style of music sort of reflects that, like whatever your style happens to be?
That's the thing I'm trying to figure out right now. My style, because as you guys, actually, who was here the first time that I met you guys?
It was me and KJ.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys know how I love, Hiatus Coyote.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah. So like, my thing is, originally when I first when I first got into music school, my thing was like, I want to learn the stuff, or I want to combine the stuff I'm learning in jazz school, like the jazz theory and all that stuff, and combine it with like, like regular music, and kind of have something. What was that? Kind of have something, like a little thing like that, That's the reason that Hiatus Coyote, for example, is like my number one group right now, You know, Choose Your Weapon, #1 album in my opinion right now. But yeah, so I feel like what they did was like a pretty good example of like what I'm kind of seeing, but I still need to develop, you know, how I'm gonna do it and all that stuff. But yeah, it's a learning process, you know.
Yeah.
Like even my trombone professor right now, he texted me the other day how he was practicing all that stuff because you can never stop learning, you know. Because if you think that you know everything, then you know you're done for.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Kind of along those lines, you talk in another one of your blog spots about how you're ambitious, but then you kind of start to question the possibility of the project.
So I'll have like Ski Mask. Ski Mask is my dog, by the way. You know, that's that soul flow stuff. But anyways, I'll have like, you know, some rap, but I'll also have Hiatus Coyote. I'll have Michael Jackson. I'll have Moonchild. I'll have, who else I got? You know, a bunch of other people like that. You know, like I like to take different elements or different aspects from different I guess things, different genres, and kind of take out the good things and see what comes out of it, you know.
Definitely try to add it to kind of your own sound.
Yeah. So then, or just trying to get some inspiration from it. So like, if I hear something that I like, I'll be like, you know, I'll try and figure out like, oh, what did they do, or you know, how'd they do that, or whatever. Like for example, "By Fire" by Hiatus Coyote. That was like, you know, like my #2 song of the album. Actually, that is my #2 song of the album, right? But I was like, man, it just slaps, you know. And then one day I was just like, let me figure out how to play this, right? It's just all major 7 chords. That's like the first chord you learn, like, you know, outside of like, you know, 3-note chords, you know. So I was just like, how in the world did they make, you know, just like a very simple chord sound like that, you know? So then after that, I was just like, I really need to start experimenting with like, you know, the simple things and finding my own way to like get a good sound out of it, you know. Like another good example would be there's this guy, his name is James Tillman. He has a song called Shangri-La, and it slaps, but it's only 3 chords. It's all just minor 7 chords, you know, and like, you know, like whole steps and half steps, and that's it. So I was just like, man, if you know you can take something so simple and make it sound, you know, this good, then you don't need all this, you know, complicated stuff. Like there's like my mom used to say, there's a time and place for everything, you know. That complicated stuff has its place, you know. It has its place, and maybe that style of music is not the right area, or maybe that point in the song. Like you don't want to have all this complicated stuff right in the beginning, because then your listeners are going to be like, what's going on, you know? Exactly. My ears cannot compute, or whatever. But yeah, so you just got to figure out, you know, what works where, and you know what doesn't work there. You know, it's all trial and error.
Yeah, and we were, I think it was last week. You know, we were talking about just how like a lot of pop songs right now are just like super kind of, you know, basic, like conceptually, and I think all artists kind of struggle to, you know, say something different, but at the same time, you know, be kind of what people want to hear and be what people want to see. Yeah, I definitely, you know, struggle with like, okay, here is my sound, but at the same time, like, what's the sound that, you know, everyone like wants to listen to? You know, like, 'cause not everybody wants to listen to like Hiatus Coyote. You know, like obviously you and me can listen to that shit like all day, but like for most people, that's not like the vibe they want. And you know, you definitely kind of have to be okay with like, okay, like this is my sound. People will come to it, you know, if they want to. Kind of having to be okay with being. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, kind of being okay with who you are and what you're doing, and not like, you know, outside influence kind of fuck with your creative process.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah, and I think it's also like a struggle of like everyone now wants to say something different. So it's like when everyone wants to say something different, what is there left to say? You know what I mean? So like at a certain point, you just kind of have to realize like authenticity is where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah. My thing is, I don't want to be like a SoundCloud rapper. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just
Yeah.
like you take like some 808s, have like two notes. You know, you're just like, just like
Yeah, we know a couple of those.
yeah. No, so I don't wanna be like that kind of person where it's just like I have like two notes and some 808s and then that's my song. You know, like I'm not. I don't think I'll ever consider myself a rapper. You know. Like always consider myself like an artist, whether it's going to be I don't know what my path, in music is yet. Whether it is producing because I'm still pretty new to this, or if it's like actual instruments or whatever. So I'm trying different things out to see what works for me, and what's the right way. But yeah, I don't want to limit myself to the two notes thing. I want to like try and expand and see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So with that, it's very clear that like you're kind of a jack of all trades. Like you kind of have your hand in a bunch of different styles of music, types of music, different art projects. So how do you find? We talked about this a little bit earlier, but how do you find that you're able to like balance all those, stay motivated between the different styles? Because I know like at least me and KJ we struggle with this a lot. Is like bouncing between the different projects.
Yeah. Well, you see, there's different styles, and like there's different styles, and each style is grouped into like its own like category, I guess, right? So like you'll have jazz, and then jazz also includes like a little bit of neo soul, like funk and all that stuff, right? Blues or whatever. Like neo soul isn't necessarily jazz, but it has a lot of like jazz influences, right? And you can definitely hear that. So you don't want to like mix like neo soul with rap because that's a completely different thing, Because with rap you have like like your old school rap or whatever. You have like your SoundCloud rap. You have like your Drake type rap where you got a beat and you singing over it or whatever. But you got to figure out what groups you have. So you don't want to necessarily mix like jazz with rap. It could work. Like I know Kendrick. He has this older song where he like raps over a blues or something like that. It's pretty dope. But you want to typically keep things into like its own like group or whatever, and that's how you like I don't know, just categorize it in your head,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Fellas, you got anything to add?
No, I mean, I think to your point, like I definitely try to experiment with the kinds of things I make. I know you said, sometimes things don't always fit, but like I think it's always kind of cool to try some new shit. I think, especially musicians, the internet space, you're kind of just filled with like mediocrity.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get like the diamond in the rough, and it's so hard to like find those diamonds because there's like
There's a lot of nonsense.
random white kid like who's like 15 hates their parents and thinks they can rap. Like they're like there's so many of that you kind of get lost in it. So and that's like there's so many artists out there who are doing like new things and putting out interesting projects, but because it's not what the mainstream wants to hear, like it gets kind of lost. Like I remember one of my favorite artists is Gambino, and he's put out an album in March, super psychedelic, super experimental. I fuck with it heavy. I don't want like I'm a stan, so I blindly support every project that these artists put out. But I like really put out the album. But like there were some people who just didn't vibe with it. Whether it's like, oh, I miss the old Kanye, like that whole kind of mentality that they don't want to like grow
They don't want to
with
change.
artists.
So I have to ask both of you, I guess, is seeing things like that, because like Gambino's new album was very like maybe one of the more accessible albums of that kind of like trippy, ethereal genre, just because it was made by Gambino. So is it kind of, I guess, discouraging almost to see like the general reaction not be as strong as we would have liked.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I don't really listen to Gambino, but like I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, his
hell
album
yeah.
was just like trippy, like ambience, pretty much.
No, I got it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm working on an album right now, and so like obviously not everyone is gonna like rock with your stuff. Like that's just kind of how like art works. But no, it's super kind of disparaging to see artists, and I mean just like Gambino in particular, just like artists in general, who are doing new things, who are saying things that no one else is saying, doing that no one else is doing, and aren't getting the recognition that they deserve. I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of sad, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we were talking a little bit just a few minutes ago about how like the different forms of art and stuff. Do you find that the different styles, the different art forms you do influence each other?
Kinda, yeah. But not necessarily. Not necessarily. I feel like they influence each other, but like in the same like. Remember the category I was talking about, right? Because like for example, with jazz, there's a bunch of different like there were a bunch of different eras in jazz. Like you had bebop, you had like the what do you call it? You had the fusion era, you had the hard bop era, you had a bunch of different eras like big band swing, all that stuff, right? And each of them had their own different sound, right? So the way that you sound, because I remember one of the biggest things that like any music teacher would tell you for jazz is just you got to listen, you got to listen and get like the inspiration from like how different people did it, So the stuff that you do listen to, it does influence how you play, for example, or how you might think, like there's my dog. I'm not gonna say his name, but my dog. He was raised in the church or whatever, right? A lot of blues and all that stuff, gospel or whatever. So he also plays trombone, but in his playing you can hear a lot of like blues and stuff like that, like very soulful, because that's how he was raised, and that's a lot of stuff that he listens to, So it definitely does influence how you think and how you play, how you might go about things, So yeah, it's good to expand what you listen to though, because it's not good to keep your mind into just like one corner, Like last summer, before I left for school, I remember I made an effort to start listening to like a bunch of different genres except country, because fuck country. But I made the effort to start listening to both of them, right? So, because there was a point where I was only listening to jazz, right? And I'm not gonna lie, that got pretty lame because I go to parties and I wouldn't know any of these songs, so I'm like, this ain't happening. So I started listening to like some like hip hop, some pop, some rap, and my friends they're big into like metal, like heavy metal, like screamo, that kind of stuff, right? They tried getting me into it, but it didn't work, right? My dog Caleb, he used to be in bands, so he kind of got me, right? He recommended this one song. He's like, yo, I got this song for you. I think you're going to like it. And I was like, I bet. It was Bulls in the Bronx by Pierce the Veil. And I was like, yo, this thing slaps, So I started checking them out, and I fuck with Pierce the Veil, Like, you're not really going to catch me, listening to them, like, walking down the street or whatever. But, like, if it's playing, I'm probably not going to skip it,
Yeah.
So I just thought that it would be a good idea to like start listening to a bunch of different stuff and like see how each thing works, because typically songs have like a certain form that they follow, different types of songs have different forms that they follow. Like blues, for example, it's I can't say it. You're not gonna understand that. Blues is like pretty much 4 chords, right? 4 chords and then maybe some turnarounds, right? And that's all blues. All blues are like that. You might have some stuff in between, but for the most part, that's like the basis of it, For a lot of pop songs, you'll have I don't know, something like. Something like that, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like three, four chords or whatever. And that's a lot of pop songs, you know? So, it just depends on the style of song, because each of them have their own different form. And it's good to learn from just the different ones and see how they do it, you know? And it's good to understand how it works as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, so
What's Go ahead.
no, you got yours is more relevant.
What's a piece of, I guess, like music or a piece of art that has like changed your life? Like what's the piece of music or piece of art that's like that has made you who you are, I guess.
You already know the answer to that. Yeah, that album, because I remember I was with a homie last year. Yeah, she picked me up. She's like, yo, you want to get milkshakes? And I was like, I bet. It's middle of the night. I'm like, I bet. So we're there. My mom not going to see this. Yeah, we were high as fuck, right? So, yeah. So we're, we got our milkshake, a steak and shake. And then, we're just chilling, right? And then she's like, yo, I got this song. I feel like you're going to like it. So then I forget what song she showed me. It was High Coyote, right? And I was like, yo, this thing slaps. This thing slaps. And, I don't know if you guys know, but like, when you're fried, everything just sounds better,
Yeah.
But like, it was a different type of sound better, Like it like that was like the type of song that it was. It just sounded like really good. So I was like, I had bet. So then she showed me some more, and I was like, yo, this is completely different. This is completely different. So then ever since then, I've been fucking with High Coyote, and I've been like kind of just listening to them, see how they do the different things. Because I've wanted to make music like that, Like actually just recently in their song Swamp Thing, I did some research and found out that the drum beat is called I think it's like a Dilla feel or whatever, where it's like real laid back, all that stuff. I could be wrong about the type of feel or the name of the feel, but I think that's what it's called. And that kind of stuff is just like that just hit me in the right spot, But yeah, as you said earlier, though, not everything's for everyone. Like I've showed like my roommates, different songs or whatever from the album, and a bunch of my friends or whatever, and different ones like different songs or whatever. A lot of them like Molasses, because I feel like that's their most like like regular song. It doesn't have a lot of like weird time signatures or weird like sound effects or all that stuff. It's just like pretty straightforward, and yeah. So I forgot the question. What was the question?
No, you answered.
Yeah, you answered it. It was something like, what piece of music has changed your life?
Oh, yeah. I had a scary, definitely. The whole album. Yeah, so I first heard that, and I was just listening to like certain songs, and then what changed, what blew my mind even more was I think like a month later, I decided to check out the album for real. So then I went from top to bottom, and I noticed that like just about every song transitioned into the next one.
Oh, I love when albums do that. Love when albums do that.
Yeah, it's crazy because like it's literally like it does that, like the drum beat and everything, or like a certain hit, it just goes right into the next one. And I was like, man, that's where it's at. Like they went all out with that, and I was still trying to figure out how how you can just do that, because it's not like they're using complicated like music theory or whatever. They're not using a lot of like flat nines, sharp 11s, sharp 15s. It's not like that, It's just like, oh, we took this chord, and it sounded good with this one, and then we just did that, So, yeah, I kind of want to get to that level where it's just like, I don't use theory. I just use stuff that like I hear, But in order for me to hear the stuff, I have to like, I guess understand it first,
Yeah.
So it's a journey. It's a journey. But yeah, long story short, High Coyote. That's changed my life.
So as someone who works in, you worked with the web art, but you also work with digital music and live music and stuff. Music. But what is...
actually, I didn't tell you about this. Sorry to cut you off, but back in Jacksonville, where I go to school, I'm in this brass band. Actually, it's called I'm gonna shout them out. It's called Let's Ride Brass Band. Yeah, we have an album out actually. It's called Roller Coaster. But yeah, we used to like go around like performing and stuff like that, around the city and all that stuff, and that really changed the way that I saw not all music, but like it just opened my eyes to a different like type of music, Because the dude who owns the band, this is what he does, that's his living, like he's a live musician. That's what he does, and he's having fun, So I was like, man, this is where it's at. So I've been doing that, and I don't know. It's a different feel compared to jazz and compared to like other different kinds of music, But yeah, that's the live music part. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no. My question was just like, how does like digital art help you say things that traditional art restricts, and then vice versa?
Well, what do you mean?
So like with your website, right?
Okay.
Like how does that help you say things or help you get across a message that like your music wouldn't? And how does your music help you get across like a message that your website wouldn't? If that makes more sense.
What? I'm gonna keep it real. I don't think the website is like that deep. I don't I don't know. I think you might be thinking a little too deep into it. Like, it's a little out. The website's out or whatever. But I'm not trying to have some hidden underlying message about like the secrets of life and like how to solve the world crisis or whatever. It's just cool. I just not much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your shit is like. Your shit seems like it would have some cryptic shit on it.
Yeah, that's why like we were looking at it a couple of days ago, like when we were prepping for the podcast, and we were just like, what is it on me? These pictures of him with Salvador Dali, they've got to mean something.
Yeah, nah. Literally, all that happened, took one picture. That picture of me and Hugh Hefner, actually, it was from me in like junior year or something like that, like summer before junior year. I went like a little trip to Fort Lauderdale with the homies or whatever, but literally you just cut out one image, took another random image, put them together, got like a random background, and then that was it. It's not like a lot of like intellect that goes into it. It's just like more just like, oh, does the color scheme match?
Yeah.
And not necessarily following the color wheel where it's like, oh, purple got to go with yellow, or not the foolishness. More just like, oh, is it pleasing to the eye? Where it's not like a bunch of bright colors with like some really dark color, actually some like medium colors that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Like
not like that. Where it's just like it's just pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as music goes, I don't know. I'm just working on how to express myself through my playing. Whatever, because right now I'm working on licks or whatever. I wanna like actually express like emotion through how I play, Because I have this dog. His name is Mick, and let me tell you something. This dude, he can play. You can hear all his trials and tribulations through his horn. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy, but yeah, I'm still working on that. But there's definitely a way where you can communicate. How you're feeling, or how a song might want you to feel in in how you're playing.
Yeah.
It really depends on the player and how or what the song is. Like the style of it or whatever, how fast it is, how slow it is. The style, whether it's like a salsa, a swing, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just depends.
Poor audio listeners we have are gonna be so fucking confused. Anyways, where were we before?
I don't remember. I think I was answering something.
Yeah, it was something about you just said no. Straight. We can move past it. This has gone off the rails officially.
All right.
I'd like to
This
touch
podcast
on
is
what
Joe.
you were saying, Steven.
What's up?
I think, like, kind of to touch back onto what you were saying, I think it's so kind of cool just to have art not be deep, have art just kind of be like what it is and not have some underlying like shit to it, because like I think we're so conditioned to being like what does this mean? What is the artist trying to say? And like literally in like research for this podcast, we were on your like website being like, oh fuck, biblical reference. Like this man must be like deep. And like I'm not saying you're not deep, but like we were like, yo, what did this mean? You're like, I was just fucking around with some buddies.
Sitting here for like an hour trying to figure all this shit out.
Yeah. Well, that's so.
English teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Fucking English teachers, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing about the website is that it's really hard to replicate. You know. That's the thing. That's the thing about it. Where it's just like it's not like your typical website where it's like, oh, you have a search bar, you have some regular tabs where it's like home, info, about. You know, it's different. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I like about it.
Yeah. That's something I
Yeah.
think I've kind of been coming to terms with too. Is like not everything has to mean something.
Yeah.
And sometimes something can just like exist, and that's
Exactly.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Any other questions, fellas? Anything else we want to say?
Nah, Steven, you should be giving us just the fucking words today,
Yeah. We have another question. We kind of want to do this as a segment now for all of our guests, so I don't know how well that's going to work out, but you'll be the first. What have you been watching, listening to, playing, or anything during quarantine?
Avatar.
Avatar? Bro, Avatar's my
Avatar.
shit now.
I finished it twice already.
Fuck,
bro.
dude.
Twice?
It's so good.
Yeah.
Twice?
When it first came out, I finished it in like a day and a half.
God damn.
Yeah, like the first day I watched for like 9 hours straight. I started at like 9 p.m. and then I went to bed at like almost 6.
Shit. It's such
And
an
it's
easy
not like,
thing to watch.
it's not like I like did it intentionally. It's just like, you know, I was watching,
Yeah.
and then next thing you know, I look at my window because the way that my bed is set up, the window's like back there or whatever. So then I was facing the wall. So you know, I stopped watching. You know, turned around and I saw that the sun was up already. I was like, oh, damn. Oh, well. But yeah, just Avatar, stand up. That's it.
Stand up. What kind of stand up have you been watching?
I've been watching most recently Kevin Hart, but that was just to you know catch up on the old days because I've already seen all the stuff.
Yeah.
But the new stuff has been like Dave Chappelle because I never really like watched his stuff, but yeah, he's funny.
Yeah, Dave
Dave
Chappelle is
Chappelle's
one of
dope.
the best. Yeah.
Yeah, he's dope.
With Kevin Hart, have you been? Do you like his new shit?
Yeah, it's just alright. I feel like his older stuff was like peak though. His
Yeah.
older stuff was peak. You know,
Yeah.
because like
Like
for example,
Laugh at My Name, Kevin Hart.
the part where he's like, my mom told me to tell you, mind your damn
Yeah.
motherfucking business. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, launching no nipple having that. Yeah, that stuff, right? Like that's like I guess iconic, and I don't say that word, but you know,
Yeah.
like I don't have any other way to describe it.
Yeah.
Old Kevin is
Yeah.
quotable.
What's up?
Yeah. Exactly.
Old Kevin is like quotable. You can't just like riff, say like all his jokes word for word, and like I think new Kevin is still very funny, but
Yeah.
like I can't think of any modern.
You can't
Kevin
use it.
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah, you
the
can't use
new
it in real
special.
life.
The new special,
Like
like
one-
What Now, that had like the sound effects and shit.
Yeah.
That just kind of made
I mean,
it seem
it
like
was
a
funny.
kids
It was
show.
funny. Like the one where he was talking about like his house or whatever, and like how he doesn't have lights in his driveway.
Yeah.
Saw a raccoon
Yeah.
grab his dick or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was funny. It was funny, but you can't use that. You know, you can't use it in real life. You know, you can't really like, you know, it'd be like, yo, I don't know, fucking dick grabbing raccoon or some shit. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, I wasn't crazy, but raccoons be freaking thick in the dark all the fucking time. So
What'd you say? Your
What?
audio got like mad
Who
quiet.
wants your mic, fool?
Me and KJ were like looking at some of the old stand up the other day. We were watching like Richard Pryor, not Stevie Wonder. Who the fuck am I? Steve Harvey.
It's probably funny as fuck.
Stevie
Harvey's
Wonder doing
funny as
stand
fuck.
up, bro.
Steve Wonder was like, "Oh, I was smelling one day and um, I smelled this bitch one day and I was like, God."
Anyways, bro, Steve Harvey is like, I think his stand up is so underrated because of like how much of a dick he is now.
He's not a dick.
Bro, Steve Harvey?
That's my
Some
nigga, man.
shit.
Somehow.
No, I get it. Some shit has come out about him, but
Yeah, bro, some of the shit he's been
Right.
saying, it's like,
Like what?
remember he said that thing about gay people not being real people.
like trans women not being
remember that.
real women. He like told his employees not to look him in the eye and shit.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, like
you
that.
can, bro. There's like a whole like compilation on YouTube, and like one of them is like he's doing an interview on The View, or some shit, and he's like all men, like you cannot be friends with women, because all men want to fuck, and then they're like, what about gay men? And then he's like, all real men.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah, and he
Yeah.
talks about like how you can't talk to an atheist because they don't have like moral boundaries.
Mhm.
So like every atheist is just a piece of shit.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy.
But his stand-up's
Okay.
funny.
Yeah, I think it's
His
funny.
stand-up's good.
Yeah. There was this dude that I binged for like 2 weeks. His name is Preacher Lawson. You guys heard of him?
He won America's Next Top. Nope. America's.
America's Next Top Model.
No.
Get off of this,
Oh,
Matt.
no,
Bruh.
No, he got second place.
Oh,
He was on America's Got Talent twice, and he got second both times.
Damn.
And then he was on Britain's Got Talent, but I don't know what happened with that.
I know
Yeah,
he
that-
came to my my school to do some stand up, actually.
Word?
But I did
That's
not go
great.
because I was busy.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's quite sad.
But yeah, he's funny.
I think that all the kings of comedy are funny. Like, you know, Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, Bernie Mac, rest in peace. You know, like all them. Just the way they like make comedy, like especially like older comics. They make like comedy just so like swaggy and just so fucking effortless. Like they're on stage, they just control the whole like venue. Like I think older comics are just like top notch.
Yeah.
The dude I've been watching recently, his name is, I think it's Andrew Schultz, something like that.
Andrew Schultz. I've heard of him.
Yeah,
I don't know where I've heard
I
of him.
think that's him. Yeah,
Look him up.
Andrew Schultz. Yeah. It's pretty funny. That nigga is really fast. Let me tell you something. Like he comes up with stuff like on the spot. Like he did this whole a whole set. It was like a 45-minute set on YouTube where he just made it up on the spot.
Oh yeah, I've
Like,
seen
he
this
went-
guy.
Yeah, where he like went with the audience or whatever and all that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, yeah, we were talking about some like. I used to really like Louis C.K. And then sad. Yeah, there were just like a bunch of I don't know. For me, like Chappelle will always just be top tier.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it, I always recommend this one because to me it's like the best example of everything Chappelle can do. But it's Equanimity and the Bird Revelation
Yeah.
on Netflix. I think the Bird Revelation is the one where he starts talking about the pimp. That's one of the best like pieces of art of all time.
Okay.
Like everyone definitely needs to check that out.
Yeah. I've seen all his like specials on Netflix and shit.
Yeah. Is that all she wrote? Is that everything we got? Anything else anybody wants to add? Say your piece now. Never say it again.
Gilfs. That's it.
This man just say your piece.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shout out to my mom. who's officially part of the Zero Budget Podcast family. Thank you,
Nice.
Mom. Steven, if you have anything you want to promote, anything you want to shout out, now's your time. The floor is yours.
bogo.pw, shout out the website, go visit it. Let's Ride Brass Band, based in Jacksonville, Florida. Check out their album, Roller Coaster. I think that's about it.
Yes, sir. KJ, anything you want to promote? Anything you want to shout out?
Same stuff I promoted last time I was on. My new album, Who We Are on the Other Side, will be out later in July. So go check that out. Social media is the KJ Dawson. You can find me, hit me up, do whatever you want.
Matt, anything you want to promote or shout out?
Go check out Joe City.
Don't
Funny
fucking check out
videos.
Joe City until he pays me.
If he gets more of a base, then he'll be more inclined. You gotta think business, Joe Tesh.
I'm sorry, I'm not using my brain. Check us out at the Zero Budget Podcast YouTube channel, which you're listening to right now. We'll be on Spotify early tomorrow morning. Check us out on Instagram. Follow me at Juptage on Instagram. Follow Matt at Matthew something _L_ Hanks or whatever it is. Next week, I think we can actually announce this. We'll have Sahib Singh on the podcast. He will be our guest. Just want to thank Steven one more time for kind of bearing with us. This whole thing is still very experimental. Having guests, we're still kind of starting out as interviewers, so thank you very much for being on the podcast and gracing us with your knowledge and your presence.
Got you, man. Big up.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Bye-bye.
All right.